So if you're planning on downsizing to a smaller home, then you are going to want to tune in today because there are some costs and elements in the moving process that even the most experienced home sellers can completely miss. I am real estate broker Leah Courage, and honestly, if you think that downsizing is as simple as shrinking your square footage, then my friend, you are seriously missing the hidden traps that are costing sellers six figures and more in lost equity and all the unnecessary taxes this year. And trust me, if you've watched my other videos, then you are probably well aware of the less than favorable tax situation in this state. So you are going to need all the leverage that you can get. So there's a massive gap between the downsizers who thrive and those who fail in this current market. And by the end of this video, you are going to have a serious leg up on the already incredibly stressful situation of the downsizing process. So let's save you thousands of dollars on your home sale, and we'll go ahead and dive in. Okay, so the first truly dangerous mistake that I see, and this honestly might surprise you, it's underestimating the emotional journey of downsizing and what downsizing really is in your heart and in your mind. So I call this the identity crisis trap. So in 2026, we're seeing a massive trend where a lot of people are moving for the numbers, but they aren't particularly excited about it for a number of different reasons. You've spent 30 years, for example, say in the same neighborhood. You know the pharmacist by name, and you know your neighbors, and you know their dogs, and you have a social infrastructure that you take for granted oftentimes every single day. Well, according to research that's published in The Gerontologist in early 2026, residential relocation in later life now ranks among the top 3 most stressful life events for older adults, right alongside the loss of a spouse. So I've seen homeowners leave the community that they love for a quote cheaper town 2 hours away, only to find themselves isolated and really depressed because they don't know a soul. So if you downsize your social life along with your square footage, then honestly, you might have made a very expensive mistake that really no amount of equity can actually fix. So the solution to the identity crisis problem trap is what I call lifestyle community mapping. So before we even look at a single house, we're going to sit down and we're going to map out your joy points. We're going to identify the exact social and physical infrastructure that you need to thrive, whether that's a specific type of community like pickleball group or a boaters, or say proximity to a specialty medical clinic, or maybe a walkable coffee shop where the workers in there actually know your name. So in the 2026 market, success truly isn't just about the house, it's actually about the micro neighborhood. We make sure that you are moving to an area that offers similar social fabrics to what you're leaving behind in the first place. And truly, by planning for your social health as aggressively as everybody else plans for their financial health, we are going to ensure that the day you move, you aren't just a stranger in a smaller house, you're actually becoming a member of a vibrant, welcoming community. And that, friends, is something to look forward to. So the next dangerous mistake that we see is what we call the federal capital gains ghost. Washington state is, for the next few days at least, state income tax free, but we all know that that's going away. And it has been a huge reason that people have been moving to Washington state for many years. So according to the IRS, you can actually exclude up to $250,000 of profit if you're single, or $500,000 if you're married filing jointly. So in any other state, that sounds like a lot of cushion. But if you bought a home in Bellevue or even parts of Edmonds or Bellingham 15 or 20 years ago, congratulations, your appreciation has likely skyrocketed past those limits. So if you bought for $300,000, say in 2005, and you're selling for $1.2 million in 2026, then you, and you probably know this already, but you need to know that you're looking at a massive taxable event. We see sellers all the time who think that the money is theirs just to put into the next house, only to realize at tax time that they actually owe the federal government 15 to 20% on everything over that exclusion limit. So you have to be meticulous about your cost basis. You have to actually take into account, did you put on a new roof in 2018? Did you remodel the kitchen in 2022? Because those receipts truly aren't just paper, they're actually tax shields. And without them, you're simply handing over tens of thousands of dollars that should have stayed in your retirement fund. So the solution here is to conduct a basis audit at least 6 months before you list. Sit down with your CPA and shoebox every major repair receipt that you have saved since the day that you moved in, because in Washington, those home improvements are the only thing standing between you and a massive IRS bill. And if you don't have those receipts, start digging through your bank statements or call your contractors right now, because every dollar of basis that you prove is a dollar that the government can't touch. We all know that we need our dollars now more than ever. So moving on to the logistics, we have to talk about the double move timing error. So this is where the 2026 market really gets tricky. We are seeing a significant shortage of lifestyle homes, and I'm going to talk about what those are. So those are the single-story ramblers and the condos that have elevators and homes that have primary suites on the main floor. If you sell your huge family home first because you want that cash in hand kind of feeling, then you honestly might find yourself in a very scary position early on. You'll have the money, but you'll have nowhere to go. And trust me, you don't want to find yourself effectively homeless and having to stay in short-term rentals while you house hunt. Short-term rentals in Western Washington are incredibly expensive, and they can be hard to find, especially if you have pets or you have a lot of furniture. You do not want to be forced into a bridge rental that eats $5,000 a month or even more of your profit while you wait for the perfect house to pop up. So the solution to the double move nightmare is actually to flip the script and to secure your new home using a buy before you sell type of a program or a bridge loan that is custom tailored for the market that we're in, the 2026 market. So by leveraging the equity in your current home without actually selling it first, we can go ahead and make an offer on that rare single-story rambler, not contingent on your home sale, which makes you the most attractive buyer in the room. So this eliminates the panic of a short-term rental, and it actually allows you to move into your new lifestyle home on your own timeline, which is going to give us breathing room to stage and sell your old family estate for the highest possible price. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to pause because this is a critical juncture here. If you're watching this and you're even thinking about making a move, whether you're downsizing in the Pacific Northwest or you're looking to head to the Sun Belt or overseas or out east, you need to stop guessing and you need to start planning right now. Trust me. Pick up the phone and call us or text our team. We don't just handle Washington state real estate. We actually have a global trusted partner program. So one of the things we do is we spend our time vetting the very top 1% of real estate brokers across the United States and even the world. So the key here is don't leave your biggest financial asset to a random person that you found on Zillow. Call us and let's make sure that you have the right boots on the ground for wherever you're going next. So next, we're going to cover the hidden cost of the smaller life, which is the HOA and the amenity shocks that we've seen so many clients go through. So a lot of our downsizers are looking for lock and leave lifestyles, which sounds great. They want, say, a condo in Bellevue or maybe an active adult community in the Tri-Cities area, but you have to look at the resale certificate with a magnifying glass before you buy. We are seeing HOA dues in 2026 that honestly will make your jaw drop. It's not uncommon to see $600, $800, $1,200 a month in dues or even more. So when you add that on top of your property taxes and your insurance, your monthly carry cost for a 1,000 square foot condo might actually be higher than the mortgage was on your 4-bedroom house. And you also have to look for special assessments that are coming up. So if the building of your condo that you're buying is, say, 20 years old and it needs a new envelope or a roof, and the HOA hasn't managed their reserves correctly, that means that you in the future could be hit with a $30,000 bill 3 months after you move in. I've seen it happen. It is not fun. So you need to have an agent who actually knows how to read those financial statements and not just someone who likes the view from the balcony. So the solution to the HOA shock is actually doing a deep dive reserve audit. So before you ever sign a final contract, you have to go beyond the flashy lobby and the gym equipment if you're going for a condo, and you have to order the full resale certificate for condos, and you need to look at the current reserve study, which is a document that's required by Washington law for most condos, and examine it incredibly thoroughly. Don't just look at the dues right now. Go ahead and look at the association's plan for the next 30 years. So by auditing the building or the homeowners association's financial health alongside your personal budget, you're actually ensuring that your lock and leave future lifestyle doesn't turn into a financial nightmare. So accessibility is the next major mistake, and I call it the forever home audit. Love my quotation signs. So a lot of downsizers will buy, say, multi-level townhomes in Fairhaven up in Bellingham or Edmonds, thinking that the stairs are going to keep them active. But one knee surgery later, that spiral staircase that looked so lovely turns into a total prison. So if a home lacks 36-inch doorways and at least one zero-step entry, then you haven't really downsized, you've just moved into a different trap. So considering that 90% of seniors want to age in place, yet only 1% of US housing is actually visitable, buying a home without these features practically guarantees another ultra expensive move in 5 years or longer down the road. So the solution is having an aging in place blueprint. So when we tour homes, I am looking past the beautiful granite countertops for things that are called universal design fundamentals, like bathroom wall blocking for future grab bars. Because retrofitting a home in Washington can cost up to $40,000. So finding a visitable home now is a massive financial win for you, especially in the future. And as an added aside, with millions of baby boomers hitting their 80s in 2026, accessible homes are definitely holding their value significantly better than multi-level units. So don't just buy for today. Pay attention to what you're investing in for the long haul. Okay, now let's dive into property taxes. So Washington has, like I've talked about before, a unique way of doing things. So in this case, your taxes are based on the assessed value, which is supposed to be 100% of market value. But if you've lived in your current home for 20 or 30 years, your assessed value very well might be significantly lower than what a new buyer would pay for your home. So when you buy a new modern condo or a recently built Rambler, the county is going to reassess your property at your purchase price for the following year. We have had clients move from, say, an older, large home in Skagit County where they're paying $4,000 a year in taxes to a smaller new home in the same county even, and then their tax bill jumps to $7,000. You cannot assume that less house equals less tax, because you have to run the numbers based on the 2026 levy rates for that specific zip code. So the solution to the tax reassessment trap is doing a net carry projection audit. So what that means is you don't just look at the current property tax on the listing sheet, because that number, friends, is based on the previous owner's history. So instead, use a 2026 levy rate calculator to project exactly what your new bill is going to be on the price that you're offering. And by running these numbers through a worst case scenario lens, you are absolutely going to ensure that your downsized home fits your monthly budget just as well as it fits your new lifestyle. Okay, don't hate me, but I have to give you some tough love here. And this is the part where a lot of sellers get stuck. Your wonderful children or grandchildren do not necessarily want all of your stuff. And I say this with all the love in the world as a fifth-generation Washingtonian who has seen a lot of family heirlooms. We live in a world where the next generation actually values experiences over the mahogany dining set. So I have seen downsizing deals get majorly delayed because the seller simply couldn't decide what to do with the good china or the heavy armoire from the 90s. So if you haven't touched an item in 5 years, it's not an heirloom, it's an absolute anchor in your home sale. So the truth is that it's costing you more money to move it than probably it's worth, and it's costing you space in your new, smaller home, and it is adding a tremendous amount of additional mental stress to an already stressful process. So we highly recommend hiring a senior move manager. So these are professionals who actually specialize in floor planning your brand new space. It's awesome. And the truth is, I actually need one for my house right now. They will literally show you that your current sofa will block your walkway in your new condo, which makes the emotional decision a totally logical one. So the solution to the emotional weight of decluttering is doing a legacy audit. So instead of trying to tackle 30 years worth of memories just in a single weekend, which is physically and emotionally pretty much impossible, bring in that professional senior move manager early. In the North Puget Sound, we have a lot of specialized teams who don't just pack boxes. They create a digital floor plan of your new space. So by seeing exactly where your armchair will sit in that new Rambler or the condo, the decision of what to keep becomes a logical one rather than a painful one. So we can even start the process 3 to 6 months or farther before we ever hit the market, which ensures, by the way, that by the time the for sale sign goes up, the house feels spacious to buyers and you feel light, liberated, and completely ready for your next chapter. So the next mistake on the list is skipping the pre-listing repairs. So in 2021, you could leave the moss on your roof when you could have a leaky faucet, and someone would still pay you $100,000 over the asking price. Unfortunately, that is not the world that we live in 2026. So with interest rates being where they are, buyers are 100% payment sensitive. So they're already stretching their budget to buy your home, which means typically that they have $0 left over to do a to-do list. So in Western Washington, our wet climate is brutal on homes, as I'm sure you know. So if you don't do a pre-inspection, say for pests and dry rot, then you are absolutely asking for trouble. So if a buyer's inspector, say, finds moss-related roof damage or a soft spot in the subfloor of your bathroom, they aren't going to ask, by the way, for just a $500 credit. They are going to go for the $10,000 credit, or they're going to walk away. And you should always be the one to find the problem first. This is my point. So fix them on your own timeline with your contractors, or at the very least, disclose these problems so that you don't lose the negotiating power mid-escrow. So the solution to the rainy day inspection trap is what I call your pre-listing protection plan. So in Washington, we aren't just looking for broken windows. We're actually right here in this super wet state looking for a couple of silent killers of a deal. Specifically, pests, rot, and another big one is sewer line issues. So we advise all of our sellers to spend about $550 to $750 on a professional pre-inspection. And also, if you have an older home, $250 to $400 before the sign ever even goes in the yard on a sewer scope. Why? Because discovering a $7,500 sewer line collapse or $10,000 worth of rotten siding after you're under contract gives the buyer all the leverage, and they want to demand double those amounts that it would actually cost to repair in credits. Don't let them do that. So by identifying these specific issues early, we can either fix them for a fraction of the cost using vetted local contractors, or we can disclose these issues up front, which builds massive buyer trust and it keeps your closing on track without those last-minute sticker shock negotiations. And speaking of money, don't forget to budget the actual friction costs of moving. It's hard to swallow, but I am seeing moving quotes in 2026 that are double what they were just a few years ago. So if you're moving a 4-bedroom home from the east side to, say, Whidbey Island, you should expect between, say, $5,000 and $8,000 just on movers at the very least, and the packing and the insurance. And then you have staging. So in 2026, it's really hard to sell a vacant home for top dollar, and you certainly can't sell a cluttered home. So professional staging is an investment that usually returns 3 to 5 times its cost in the final sales price. But it's an upfront cost that you have to be ready for. So if you don't bake these friction costs into your net profit sheet, you are going to be very disappointed when you see the final check at the closing table. So the solution to the logistics budget shock is making a net proceeds analysis. So before we ever list your home, we provide clients, for example, with a comprehensive friction cost worksheet that accounts for these types of things in the 2026 reality of moving within the Pacific Northwest. So we bake in the current 182 per hour statewide average labor rate for a top-tier moving crew, and even sometimes the $1,500 to $4,000 investment for professional staging, which honestly, data shows can help homes sell for up to $70,000 over list price, even in a stabilizing market like we're in right now. So by treating these as strategic investments as opposed to just the surprise expenses at the very end, you're basically going to ensure that the check that you receive at the closing table is exactly what you expected and that there aren't any last-minute deductions for the reality of moving your life from point A over to point B. Next is perhaps the most heartbreaking because it's so easy to avoid, and that is missing out on property tax exemptions. So Washington State has a very robust program for senior citizens and for people with disabilities, but you have to know how to navigate it. So a lot of people don't think that they qualify because they have too much in their retirement accounts, but the qualification is based on your combined disposable income and not your total net worth. So in 2026, the income thresholds have actually been raised significantly. So for instance, in King County, the threshold is now $84,000. In Whatcom and Skagit, it's around $52,000. And if you qualify, this isn't just a small discount. It can actually freeze the value of your home for tax purposes and exempt you from all of the excess levies. We have seen this save seniors $3,000 to $4,000 in a single year, but you have to apply for it and you have to know which county you're moving to and what their specific rules are. So the solution to missing out on the senior property tax exemption is what we call doing a 3-year retroactive recovery. So a lot of people don't realize that Washington law actually allows you to apply for this exemption up to 3 years after you were originally eligible. So if you've already downsized and you didn't know about the new 2026 income threshold, which by the way, as of right now, are as high as $84,000 in King County, $75,000 in Snohomish, and $52,000 in Whatcom County, you can actually work with the county assessor to potentially get a refund on overpaid taxes from the previous year. So don't leave your money in the county's pocket. Let's make sure that you are getting every single cent of the relief that Washington State has set aside for you. So the moral of the story is that downsizing really isn't about shrinking your life. It's actually about expanding your freedom. But in 2026, in a market that is more complex and data-driven than ever, you honestly cannot afford to treat this move like a hobby, because when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, and you're losing the very peace of mind that you were moving for in the first place. You've worked extremely hard to build the equity that you have, so don't let it be eaten away by all of the unforeseen costs of a Washington real estate transaction. Success in this next chapter honestly belongs to those who are proactive, do their research, develop a strategy for success, and of course, work with the right real estate advisors. Thank you so much for watching, and I know this is a lot to take in because downsizing honestly is a very emotional journey as much as it is a financial one, and truly, you don't have to do it alone. If you want to walk through your specific situation, whether you are in Bellevue, Anacortes, or Walla Walla, or anywhere else in Washington or out of the state, truly, please reach out to us. Our contact information is in the description below, and we would love to help you make your next move with confidence. I am Leah Courage, your Washington State real estate advisor, and I'm here to make sure that your next chapter is your best chapter. So don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss the next videos that we are putting out on this channel. Thanks again for watching, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next video.